This writing workshop series is brought to you by the Center for Sacred Sciences in Eugene, Oregon. The center's mission is to teach the core truth shared by all the world's great mystics, to foster a new worldview based on that truth, and to support a community of practitioners who wish to discover that truth in their own experience. You can visit centerforsacredsciences.org for hundreds of audios, videos, and articles, as well as a calendar of events. And now, episode 3 of 4 of the Go As Nothing Writing Workshop series with Mary Song.
Greetings and welcome to episode number 3 of our series, the Go As Nothing Writing Workshops. I'm Mary Song, and I wanted to mention a couple of things before we get started. In a moment, we will repeat the writing prompt for today, but first, I think some of the viewers are watching this alone, while some might be watching in pairs or small groups. And I wanted to encourage you to read your response out loud, either to yourself if you are alone, or to whomever you are sharing this with. We've found that reading aloud is an important part of this discovery process. When we write without thinking it over ahead of time or calculating what we will say, we then have an opportunity to reveal to ourselves something that may be hidden. And we do write fiction, lived experience, and a combination of the two, what I call creative writing. Now, in the last episode, episode number 2, we brought up the affliction of self-doubt. Every single person I have worked with in this process has reported self-doubt from time to time. So it's likely that you also experience this feeling of doubt, that you can't live up to the caliber of what we're doing here, that your writing isn't as good, and on the mind goes with its negative remarks. So what I want you to know about self-doubt is that it comes directly from the story of I, and in my experience, it's pretty much universal. So what I recommend is not to try to get rid of it, but rather to notice it, light it up, see it, and know that it too is a creation from imagination, and then carry on, write anyway. Be willing to feel doubt without letting it hold you back. So welcome to this unfolding of creativity and illumination. Episode 3 starts right after the writing prompt. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. It doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, even if you have broken your vow 100 times, come yet again. And those are the words of our beloved Rumi, 13th century Persian poet. Welcome, everyone. Greetings, and everyone tuning in to view this episode. This is the 3rd episode of the Go As Nothing Writing Workshop. And if you haven't seen the first 2, I recommend that you pop back and have a look at them, because these are meant to dovetail together. So there's teachings coming through. And at the end, our last episode will be the 4th. My dream is that they all come together, okay? So see if you can start at the beginning, and I would love it if you followed along with the prompts and do this with us, and in session writings as well. So I'd like to jump into introductions right now. This will be a playful one. It's mixing fiction, truth, and words of wisdom, okay? I love to play with you guys. I don't want to say guys. I don't like calling people guys. With you all, with my friends. The seen and the unseen friends, by the way. I love to be playful. And so in this case, I would like us to introduce ourselves, and I would like everyone to put doctor before your name. And you may embellish your name or make up a new name. And then give us 3 examples of your personal wisdom. So feel free to jot down a little bit of something. So that's putting doctor before your chosen name. Embellish it if you like. And then 3 examples of your wisdom. So I'll start, and then we'll go around the room. The order of names is Deborah, Wayne, Shani, Heartsong, Robin, Jed, Nirija, and Aaron. So greetings, everyone. My name is Dr. Shri Songaji. And my words of wisdom are, be so very kind to yourself, and you will naturally be kind to others. Second, illuminate the story of I. And number 3, go as nothing. Okay, and we'll move on.
I'm Dr. Deb. Simply let it go. Number 2, let it be. Number 3, just be.
My name is Dr. W. Like me, you can go to a blank mind whenever you're asked a question like this. Relax and pay attention.
Hello from Dr. Shani Wani Banani. Listen deeply, accept what is, and be the presence.
These things are always hard for me. Okay, I am Dr. Lima Peru. And my words of wisdom are to live in the now, love as much as possible, and appreciate life.
I'm Dr. Robin, and my words of wisdom are be kind, be nice, and be all you could be.
My name today is Dr. Me Here, You There. And my words of advice would be have a nap, have a snack, and say yes.
My name is Dr. Lightsong Love, and my words of wisdom are to love everyone unconditionally, especially yourself, to enjoy the sunshine and dance a lot.
My name is already technically Dr. Aaron Haas. So today I'm, I guess, Dr. Aaron the Magnificent. And my words of wisdom are just to be with what is. Listen inside and out. And abide and live from the heart, not knowing.
Thank you, everyone. I used to be in this group, a circle of women, and we tried many different therapeutic methods and spirituality and such. And we came up with a game called You Be Guru. And we go around the room, sort of like spin the bottle. Now, you be guru. And then that person would sit and give all of this spiritual advice and wisdom and so on. And it was amazing to us because we hadn't practiced or anything, that would just pour out. So it's amazing what we already know. We just don't accept. We push it away, whatever. But inside, there's a lot of wisdom that we've already discovered. So we're going to look at that a little bit more in depth, but I want to really start off now with our prompt. And I hope that our audience has had time to do this prompt with us. It's prompt number 3. And the directions I gave in preface to it go like this: call out for help on the prompt that follows and let your intuition guide the way. So the prompt is, call 911. My stories are on fire. Okay? I hope you had fun with this. I love it, when we can play with our creativity and see what comes out. So I will mute my microphone, and we'll just go from one to the other with the bow in between each one. Okay? And then we'll be all together at the end. And if you have some comments, I like to jot down a couple notes while people are reading. You can always do that. And at the end, we'll see if there's something to say. Okay, let's begin with Deborah.
Call 911. My stories are on fire. Water will drown them. Air will feed the flames. Earth will bury the ashes. Light will illuminate the carnage. No, they must be saved, right? No? You're saying, no, maybe let them burn? How much, though? Down to the ground? Into the bowels of the earth? Wash away the embers, too? Make soap by dripping lye through the ashes of my stories? Soap that can cleanse? You're saying soap made from the ashes of my stories is the only thing that can cleanse me of those stories? Is that what you're saying? Tell me, be clear. You know how I can't stand it when you beat around the bush. You know how frustrated I get when you don't say precisely what you mean, when you cloak each word in velvet to soften your true meaning. That is what has come between you and me. There is a colossal wall made of velvety words that refer to prickly problems. You think the velvet does the trick. You are tricking yourself and have been for a very long time. I allowed myself to be tricked. I went along with this, even participated, because I can write a mean sentence too. And by that I mean crafted to sound soft when it is really hard. But some people say it is mean to be honest. I believed that story too. I can velvetize words with the best of them. That is part of my mask. A mask for the trash heap. Or is it for the burn pile? Ah, yes, my mask is a story. I believed it. I don't anymore, but the mask is fused on from decades in its place, and it needs to be prized off with surgical precision so as not to damage what's beneath, which is my face. Throw my face on the burn pile too. Let it all go. But what will be left? Nothing? No thing? Is this what you mean by go as nothing? All words, just velvety words. I'm afraid of what's beneath. Put that fear story on the pile too. Tuck shreds of paper bearing my stories all around it and strike the match.
Call 911. My stories are on fire. There's not just smoldering there, they've burst into flames. Call 911. My life history is in there. Call 911. It is too an emergency. Believe me, I spent years creating those stories. You can't imagine the efforts that I went through to support my wimpy theories, ideas, and concoctions. Do you know how hard it is to convince someone to believe in the nearly impossible odds that I've conquered? How about that one about me being a suave, confident know-it-all? Do you realize how much work went into describing such a superhero alter ego as that for a guy like me, shy, introverted, scared, lacking in confidence? Call 911. It's not just my stories, but my whole life that's on the line here. This pile of paper, or should I say pyre of papers, was really everything I ever had. Money, I can go back to work or borrow what I need from friends. Food and water, social services has me covered there. Transportation, still got my own 2 legs. But history, credibility, loyalty, trustworthiness, believability, those are all encapsulated in those ashes rising to the sky. Call 911. Call 911. Call 911. Call 9. Oh, all right, let them burn.
Call 911. My stories are on fire. Early morning, awake and tired, exhausted, sleepless, restless, raw the sensations, drowning and burning all at once, strangling, writhing, locked in my mind, judging everyone, especially me. Weeks of torture, torment, inner drama, crucible, cycles, never ending. Help does come at last, ever so briefly, quote unquote, on little cat's feet. God in form, art, therapy, nature, even family, they, the source chosen to blame. As I become sure, surrounded, that nothing outside is the culprit, which greatly increases the burn. How now, so ugly, dark, unhappy me, the good girl. My parents, fears, childhood, shame, shy, failures, successes, one giant 911. Looking backwards now, a maze of trying, wanting, needing, grasping, desperation. But alas, the prisoners knew, I knew dark. We could relate. It was not all for naught, after all. That burn now lighting the great way to becoming nothing.
Call 911. My stories are on fire. It is about 8 a.m. and time to walk Jojo, the rescue dog, up the back hill to the ridgeline. The sun is barely up and mist rises from the trees like smoke. Everything is damp or slightly frozen, quiet, awe-inspiring. I open the gate behind the barn and start up, and it begins. The thoughts condemning me. What right do you have to enjoy this when there's so much need in the world? You are the privileged part of society that causes inequity in the first place. You should be on your knees begging for forgiveness. You are bad. I fast walk up the hill, Jojo ahead of me, exploring sense. I notice him briefly, but the critical voice talks louder and my feet move faster, almost racing. You are just part of the whole privilege chain going back years and years. Why aren't you doing more to stop it? Shame, shame. Now I'm at the top of the back field overlooking the barn, the smoking hills and fir trees that go on forever. It is magical. I have to stop and take it in. I raise my hands and another voice suggests that I relax, that I am profoundly loved, and laughs at my oh so serious ramblings. I remember that it is not my problem to solve alone. It takes a tribe. And the voice reminds me that the work is never finished and that I am good. I walk mindfully and slowly now into a grove of oaks and firs and maples that embrace me. Tears come. The fire has burned down for now.
Call 911. My stories are on fire. I must have left the oven on and now it's caught and my whole house is going down with it. It's burning and burning. Oh, those stories burn hot, like dry wood that's well seasoned. But wait, actually, cancel my call. Cancel my call. I love to watch them burn, every last one. The one about the embarrassing moment when you were a teenager, and all the other ones about what they did to you and why. It's the why that has always gotten you in trouble. The supposing and postulating and mulling and trying to understand and interpret. It never seemed to end very well. I stand now and add fuel to the fire, pouring on a whole can of white gas I had stored in the cupboard. Take them all. I say, I'm curious to know what's left and who I was before I was born. Take even my wedding day and trips to far places. Take my greatest achievements that they may not continue to cast some shadow onto me in reference to what I am now. How can anything be fresh or new when dragged down by an anchor into past memories? And let me see all the people in my life with fresh eyes and begin again. But should a shred of story be left in the smoking pile of ash the next morning, I won't mind. I do love to scavenge, a partially burnt photo here and word fragment of a sentence or two there, and wonder at the person I thought I was, and maybe have a good laugh too.
Call 911. My stories are on fire. So that this fire will not spread where it is not wanted, the experts at putting out this fire will need to intercede. But as for my stories, their time has come. As nothing is permanent, neither are my stories. They are burning and will soon be gone. But other stories will still have their time, their opportunity to be written. So let the authorities douse the fire before it spreads too far. Douse them with TV stations playing news stories about super important things like changing weather and changing politics. Let my stories be turned into smoke and ash, as I no longer need them anyway. But as long as you need to, hang on to yours. They are your teachers, and as the sages have said in the past, the teacher will appear when the student is ready. Build your stories, protect them with culture and values and belief. But when enough fuel has accumulated, watch out, because the bigger the story gets, the hotter it burns. But have no fear of this impending apocalypse, for the destroyer is also the creator. And as one thing is removed, a way is set for the next thing. So add and add to the pyre. When the day arrives for the funeral, let it burn. But the fire does not need to spread beyond the boundary of your own particular stack of fuel, your own collection of journals, your own pile of belief. The only thing truly suffered is what is believed in, your story of I, your belief in yourself. So when the day comes that lightning hits your accumulation of tinder, hope for the hottest, strongest inferno ever, so that all remnant is sent up to the sky, up to the firmament, as a gift to the gods, who will use it like so much fodder for those left behind, still building on belief.
Call 911. My stories are on fire. Or maybe just let them burn. They have been great stories, but do I really need to keep them forever? Adventure, love, failure, success, death, and birth. It really is a great collection, but I think it's time to let them burn. So don't call for help. Oh, but I see now how burning these stories could create a huge inferno. My stories, after all, are tied in with all stories, And when this really starts burning, well, who knows what will happen? Ah, another great story in the making. No, let them burn. But would I lose them forever? Is it all or none? Maybe I can pick what to throw in the fire. But what would I pick? Even the most traumatic stories of a charismatic, narcissistic lover and a near-death car crash have brought me here. And if the stories burn, would they take all the consequences as well? So if I let them burn, if I let the story of I burn, then what is left? At this point, I can just tell another story about what might be. So yes, let my stories burn. Do not call 911. The next unknown adventure awaits. Tragedy or comedy, my curiosity wins.
Call 911. My stories are on fire. It started with the me, and the fire is catching everything else it touches. The pots, the pans, the window blinds. I only wanted to start a little fire, not burn the whole place down. I've been trying to put it out one spoonful of water at a time, and I've been somewhat successful. The fire is contained in the bedroom, for example. But I'm at my wit's end. When I get it out in one place, it just keeps popping up somewhere else. The me went first. The you is next on the chopping block. This fire is making me doubt if there's even a you there. The smoke makes it hard to tell. I keep telling myself this quiet place is the only refuge I'll ever need. But it too crumbles, like the floor, and I latch onto the lamp for safety. Pretty soon, I'll have nowhere to lay my head and sleep. So it's not even up to me, but the wind comes and fans the flames even more sometimes. My identity is also at stake, though the me is burned to ash. The identity of being in the world. I thought it wouldn't come to this, but even my strategies to put the fire out are burning up. In fact, I once convinced myself that this burning was my doing. And I even enjoyed it at first. My little fires. Look at what I can do. But oh dear, I've let it get out of control. Now it's starting to catch the couch. All my deepest, most familiar places of refuge and repose. I would delight in the roof disappearing into ash, revealing the clear blue sky, which I do from time to time. If the fire wasn't also crawling up my own leg, into my body and chest. I think most of all, it's burning all my strategies away. The neon exit sign is all but destroyed. And the last bits left seem to be my pride, shame, and bedrock desire to do something meaningful and precious for the world. Please, may the fire spare me my sanity. May it spare me my place in all this.
My friends, I would love to have a collection of those, all 8 of them, to see them one after another. Sound like a good idea? Oh, and Deborah, making soap from the ashes of my stories. I think this is a great title for a book of poems or a book of stories. Keep that in mind. Who has a comment? Anybody want to speak up about this experience of Call 911? Robin, go ahead.
I just thought it was pretty funny how most of us wanted to burn our stories.
When it comes down to it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone was pretty ready to let him go.
Yeah, we've looked at him enough, right? Anybody else? Yeah, Aaron.
Yeah, I noticed 2 things that really struck me were something that both Jed and Nirja said, which were something about, I think Jed said something about letting it burn beyond my particular pile. Is that right? And then Nirja saying, my story is tied with other stories.
Yeah.
it was just so beautiful to see the burning spread. Feel that.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for that. Anybody else? Yeah, Jed.
To me, it felt like we could have like shuffled them, and
Yeah.
any one of us could have read any other story. Like it almost didn't matter which story we read.
We should try that
That'd be
sometime.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah, we could try that sometime. What a great idea. I love it when ideas come through like that. Beautiful. Well, I'm wondering about the issue of self-doubt. And, I wouldn't be surprised to hear everyone say that at times they have that sense of self-doubt come up. And yesterday, Nirja talked with me after our session that she had a episode of self-doubt hit right during the in-session writing. And I asked her if we could talk about it, and she said yes. And I want to bring that up because I know that this arises, the self-doubt arises out of the story of I. It's one of those ways that's trying to captivate you and keep you under that spell. Oh, I'm no good at this, or whatever that voice is saying to you. And I think that our viewers looking in might listen to us and say, oh, I could never do that. I'm not that good. I'm not good enough for something like that, right? And so I wanted to ask Nirja to tell us about that experience that you had yesterday. What happened?
Yeah, so it was a pretty intense experience of feeling not good enough, that what I was writing just didn't make the cut. And I really, I shouldn't even read it. And yet, as these thoughts were arising, it didn't take too long before I noticed these thoughts as thoughts that were old friends.
Yes.
And I was able to just move through that. And I felt it pretty much in my body. It was like, oh, this is bad. And noticing it and allowing it, it really didn't matter whether it was good or not. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It was what I wrote.
Yes. Yes. You all are fabulous writers. I don't really need to say that. But again, this is not about being better writers. That's not what we're doing here. It is about illuminating the story of I, and that's exactly what you did when you saw that arise. Here it comes. Oh, I'm not good enough. This is no good. I should just leave right now. Anybody else have episodes of that come up around this writing? Yeah, okay. Oh, Everybody will join the club. We'll have a party. What I recommend is that when you see the thought arise, there it's coming. And Nirja said, old friend, self-doubt, to greet it with kindness instead of get away from me, quit bothering me with that. Just with kindness. There you are, old friend. You see, it's a whole different attitude toward aversion. Like, get out of here, aversion. But instead, like bringing it into the heart, where it's going to self-liberate and dissolve. Anybody else have words of wisdom about self-doubt? Yeah, Jed, go ahead.
I've been working with you for like 4 years now, but
oh wow,
I think because since whenever we started,
yeah,
the
pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
We met in person.
Yeah.
Gave each other hugs.
Yeah, great. I now when I have these thoughts, because they're just thoughts that happen.
Yeah, they're just thoughts.
It's not like I didn't create the thought, but I think of it like I try to think of it as like a bird flying by the window.
Yeah.
It just flew by. Like, I don't have to
let
think
it keep
good
going
or bad or anything. Yeah, it's just something that's there, and it showed up out of nowhere, and I don't know where it goes afterwards.
So if you reach out and you grab that bird, now you've got the bird in your hand, right? Now you've got a problem.
And my hand doesn't go through the window.
What if that bird hits your window? Bang.
Yeah,
and
that
now,
happens.
Now it's lying out there. What will you do? This has happened to me. I've gone out there. Here's a little bird. I picked it up in my hands. I kept it warm with kindness, just natural, and then whew, it flew away, right? So these things that come up, we can fuel them, fan the flames of that fire of self-doubt. Or we could, with kindness, begin to loosen that grip and let it fly naturally on its way, liberated. Okay.
Let it do what it wants.
Yeah. Yeah. And, as we cultivate awareness around this, it begins to dissipate. Those types of thoughts will not be arising as often, and maybe never again. Maybe never again. It's possible. Anybody else? Word of wisdom on this topic? Yeah, Deborah, go ahead.
I don't know if this is a word of wisdom, just
Okay.
my experience.
Yeah, it's
which
wise, my dear.
happens a lot. So I wasn't feeling good about the prompt, and there were weird reasons for that. Like, I don't like the numbers. I mean, I have this anesthesia thing, and the numbers didn't feel good. But so I almost thought about ditching it, but I didn't do that.
Thank goodness you didn't.
Yeah.
What a peace you have there.
But I did start out the first, maybe 3 lines, feeling really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
No idea what I was going to do with that. And I was just really aware, maybe like Nirja in her experience, of just sticking with it and dropping the thinking, because the first things were thoughts. I don't like that.
Yeah.
And really, I'm looking at my writing, about by the third or fourth line, I was off.
Yes.
So that was
beautiful.
That was nice.
Beautiful. Yeah, one thing that we're doing in this creative writing workshop is a type of synergy. So I'm trying to be an empty channel, so intuition comes through. I write the prompt, give you the prompt. Now it comes into your space, and you're like, I don't like it. You don't like Mary Song. Why'd you pick that? Want to change it and all this. And you're willing to go with that flow and see where it takes you. And then we read them together, and it all weaves in. And just, for me, it's a stunning experience to hear these voices come together. So thank you for that, Deborah. Yeah, Heart Song, go ahead.
I guess a lot of times when I'm feeling self-doubt, or like I can't write about this subject or whatever it is, it's more like we're a collective here. Yeah. And all of our voices have something to add to the whole mix. And so it's really important for me to let myself feel and experience and write down whatever I am, whatever this is, because this is a whole, it's not just me. So that sometimes will help me.
Very good point. Yeah, because yes, we think that we're separate beings and we live in our little nutshell. I like to think of myself sometimes as the worm inside of the nutshell. That's my world in there. And, on Zoom here, we're in our little square box or oblong boxes, right? And, we're separated. But somehow, through this creative approach, we can begin to sense that we're actually part of this whole, and then the barriers can drop. So that's very profound. Thank you for that, Heart Song. On kindness, I wanted to say some words about kindness, and then I want to read a poem, and then we'll have an in-session writing, which seems to be going so well. But anyway, on the subject of kindness, in my life, I've found that when I'm in pain, whether that pain be physical, emotional, or spiritual, I am blessed. It's not something I did, but I am blessed by grace to have the vision of all the other beings who are also suffering in that same way. For example, knee surgery is very painful. And I can recall lying on the bed, terrible pain, crying. I just want to punch the air. It's so painful. And somehow that vision arises for me. All the other people in the world. Oh my gosh. All the other people in the world experiencing that kind of pain all over the body. Pain in the body. Pain in the emotions. Yes, we've all been there. Pain in the emotions. If that vision can arise for you, all the people in the world feeling that pain of grief, rejection, whatever it is, pain in the emotions, or spiritual pain. Gosh darn it, I wanted this spiritual path to be different than it is. I was here, now it's gone. I can actually feel that when I say it because I've known that. You were there. And then, so spiritual pain, God turned her back on me. Whatever it is, cultivate awareness around the nature of all beings, suffering in the body, in the mind, in the spiritual sense. All too often, I've heard people say this, I hate suffering. I recently heard someone say, I hate suffering. And we're often like that. We turn on the news, there's starving children there. I turn the channel. Right? It's too much for me. I'm overwhelmed by the suffering of the world. Now, my experience is that it takes a lot of energy to hold that back. All that suffering out there, everywhere. Go to every house. There's suffering in every house, every country, every region. I don't know about other planets, but from what I observe in life, every being suffering. So, in my view, it takes tremendous energy to shut it out. And you must assess for yourself whether you're ready to open that heart up to the suffering of the world. The stability. I recommend stability to open up to the suffering of the world. Safety. Be in a safe place in yourself to open your heart to the suffering of the world. What do you see there in suffering? Blaming someone else. It's because of them, what they said and what they did. Now I'm suffering, or they're suffering. Those people over there are suffering because of these people. Blaming, pointing the finger all around. Resentment. I resent the way life is. The haves and the have-nots and the political power. I resent. These are all actual barriers in my experience. Anger. I'm so angry about that. I'm going to throw this shoe at the television. What good does it do? Breaks my TV? In opening the heart to the suffering of the world, we cultivate compassion, sweetness, kindness for yourself first. Okay? For yourself first. Self-doubt arises. How can this be met with sweetness and softness? Neighbor is suffering. How can I help? If not, can I let this into my heart with sweetness and kindness? All the people, all the animals, all the beings seen and unseen. Can my heart be that infinite to let all the suffering in? Why would you want to do that? It's a big, big spiritual movement that happens when the barriers begin to drop between me and the other person suffering. Taking on the suffering. Won't that kill me dead if I do that? I can only stand one knee in pain. I can't, everybody else's knees too. It's something to experiment with on a day-to-day basis, whatever it is. Look to see what's there. Am I being angry and blaming others and resenting? My heart's closed up. All those people. Okay. It's a beautiful topic. I want to read a poem, and the poem is called Kindness. It's by Naomi Shihab Nye. Before you know what kindness really is, you must lose things. Let the future dissolve in a moment like salt in a weakened broth. What you held in your hand, what you counted and saved carefully, all this must go. So you know how desolate the landscape can be between the regions of kindness. How you ride and ride, thinking the bus will never stop. The passengers eating maize and chicken will stare out the window forever. Before you learn the tender gravity of kindness, you must travel where the Indian in a white poncho lies dead by the side of the road. You must see how this could be you. This is you. How he too was someone who journeyed through the night with plans and the simple breath that kept him alive. Before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak to it till your voice catches the thread of all sorrows and you see the size of the cloth. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore. Only kindness that ties your shoes and sends you out into the day to mail letters and purchase bread. Only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, "It is I. It is I you have been looking for." And then goes with you everywhere, like a shadow or a friend. Thank you. Naomi Shihab Nye. Thank you for that beautiful poem. So I would like to have an in-session writing now. And I want to go from this poem. Again, she begins with, before you know what kindness really is, you must lose things. And I'd like to alter it, if the poet doesn't mind, so that we can have a writing session here. And I would like to change the you, that second person you, to I, the first person. Before I can know what kindness really is. And I'd like you to be specific, my friends. Try to be specific. Before I can know what kindness really is, I must. Now, I'll say 3 minutes. I often make it 4. And I may or may not interrupt you. So we'll see what intuition drives me to do. Okay, everybody ready? A paper, pen, or keyboard? Once again, before I can know what kindness really is, I must. And please begin. Before I can learn what freedom really is, I must and beginning to roll to a stop. Getting the last few words out. Beautiful. I look forward to hearing what you all have here. And for those at home watching in, I hope that you have also tried this out for yourselves. I wish we were live and you could call in and read what you wrote. Wouldn't that be something? Yes, so we'll start with Deborah and we'll go around the room and I will mute my microphone and I won't even do a bow this time. We'll just go one to the other, go around the room. And then at the end, we'll see if we have some comments. Okay?
Before I can know what kindness really is, I must go on a search for that grail. I must root it out of the darkest, most locked up places in my own heart. But I didn't lock it up, someone else did, and they threw away the key and did not leave a note or a treasure map of any kind. I do not think they wanted me to find it, because if I did, I would see that they were not being kind to me, kind enough to see me. They didn't leave me without resources, but those were hidden too. It took so long to dig up the tools to find the kind. No one told you you have to be kind to yourself before anyone else can be kind to you. At least that is the way it worked out in my family. Before I can learn what freedom really is, I must walk that long path through the mossy forest until I come to a clearing, the place where the light can make it to the earth. She is there. She says, "Welcome home."
Before I can know what kindness really is, I must become you. I must feel like I am in your head, your eyes, your thoughts, your life. How can I imagine what you are experiencing? Imagination and communication are the keys. When I think I know what you're going through, I can apply kindness to my asking you if my understanding of your pain and suffering matches your experience. I'm no expert on you, of course, but being an expert on me and realizing that you and I are not so different, perhaps I can feel enough of what you are feeling to really understand us both. Before I can learn what freedom really is, I must spend some time in the cage. How can we realize anything without comparing it to something else?
Before I can know what kindness really is, I must be humble, feel the pain of another, let my pride slip away. I must learn to accept me, dare I say, to love me with acts of kindness, watching how a thought can destroy my sense of aliveness momentarily. Before I can really know what kindness is, I must, oh, the love and acceptance I feel for others to be felt for all. All for one for all. It is here that we may all feel loved and the opening to be free, to express freely, to know our uniqueness as just that, without comparisons. Before I can know what freedom really is, I must embrace every shadow, every doubt, every hatred, and allow the transforming to show me that there is truly only one thing, appearing infinitely. Freedom and kindness are now one love.
Before I know what kindness really is, I must be willing to open my heart and eyes and acknowledge the pain and sorrow of others. I must know that to have great joy, I must know great sorrow and experience the compassion that accompanies sorrow. I must be willing to sink down with the quiet despair of my own heart and kindly encourage, accept, and see all of it, or as much as I'm able at any moment. To know kindness, I will look into the eyes of my beloved and see such tenderness and love written there. Before I can learn what freedom really is, I must see the stories and realize that I am nothing, a passing wave dissolving into the ocean.
Before I can know what kindness really is, I must lose my cat, care for her through a long drawn out kidney disease, put her on a special diet so she doesn't grow scrawny and skinny because of her inflamed gums that don't chew very well. I must sacrifice the trip I was planning to New Orleans and stay home to care for her in a way that no one else can do. I must not give up on her old bones too soon, taking her to put to sleep because she has become an inconvenience to me. I must serve her in the way that she has served me, showing constant love even after I hurt her by trimming the matted knots out of her back legs, or worse, giving her a bath, which she absolutely hates. I thought she would never forgive me, but by the time before I can learn what freedom really is, I must endure the painful relationships and misunderstandings and bad communications in life because none of us really know how to be more graceful when we're being clumsy with each other's hearts.
Before I can know what kindness really is, I must be here with what I have and where I am. As I see the world, so I act. The first person I come into contact with every day is the one whose eyes I'm looking out of. If I can't take care of and love and be kind to him, how can kindness exist in anything else I do? Without kindness here, all other action is selfish. Not to use others to get what this person wants. No, but to accept this person here and now, bad smells, weaknesses, shortcomings, and then the same is of no concern in others either. The heat of the sun is not gathered from the solar system, but given. Likewise, the kindness I give this seer is the kindness, the same kindness in equal portion that radiates out. Before I can know what freedom really is, I must need nothing. The needs that seem external, the what is sought by the seeker, when nothing is needed, to be with all is all that is left. Compassion, the fuel of kindness.
Before I can know what kindness really is, I must remember that time when I felt there was no kindness in my life, when I was so depressed and despairing that my life would ever change. In remembering that kindness-less life, I can also remember the brief moments where I began to see differently. A smile from the grocery store clerk, a beautiful sunset, a shiny rock placed carefully in the nook of a tree. I remember these moments where kindness and beauty caught my eye. In remembering these moments where kindness and beauty caught my eye, I can then know that kindness is to be found in small secret places, and that simple smile will spread. My lips curl up, and I am now sharing it. Before I can learn what freedom really is, I must open my eyes, my heart, to see that freedom is really a state of mind. It is not so much the absence of a closed cell as it is the absence of a closed mind.
Before I can know what kindness really is, I must fail and fail and keep failing and flailing, fail and flail, lose touch with what I know, again and again and again and again. I must see the wind cooling the planet down to the grass, and be left so bare and defenseless that even the slightest hope to remain is gently blown away, like a whisper until it's gone. I must receive, and in order to receive, I must stop. Face pressed against the glass of the world's largest shopping mall, and see all your smiles, all your denials, as precious gifts. It's not about winning. I can't make that happen. I can't make anything happen. I am only a whale coming up for air from time to time. Before I can learn what freedom is, I must stop musting. Can there ever be a demand in freedom? Perhaps. What would I know, except to let myself be guided?
I can barely speak of the beauty of these pieces. And again, they come through within 5 minutes. This is not a long labor, hours and hours of chiseling these out of our language. It pours forth when that channel is open. And for me, as the listener, it's just magnificent. I would have to really, I don't know, maybe I need not say more about the beauty. I think the viewers at home understand what I'm talking about, just to witness this miracle. Who would like to speak up? Something you noticed in this, in your own or in someone else's, in this particular topic? Is there something you'd like to say? Now would be the time to do it. Yeah, Jed.
I want to rewind it.
Yeah.
I want to listen to everything all over again.
Well, luckily, it's recorded.
Gotta get this up there so I can go watch all these again.
Yes.
Month isn't enough for me. I want to listen to each one like 10, 15 times.
That's beautiful to hear. Most of, all the workshops I have taught are just, we do it and it's gone into the ethers, it's gone. And this one time we are recording for an audience. And it may affect us a little bit. We were talking privately about that, whether or not it inhibits us. From what I'm hearing, though, I don't hear a lot of inhibition. Anybody else want to speak up? Yeah, Aaron.
Yeah, I just wanted to actually rewind in a different sense. When I was reading it out loud, I noticed that the last paragraph I wrote felt inauthentic.
Uh-huh.
And I just wanted to give voice to that. I said, I don't know. What would I know, about freedom? And I think I do actually know something about freedom. It's not just the blind being guided. And anyway, it felt important to say that.
Thank you. Yes, to be authentic and to embrace that inauthenticity, right? I don't know. I'm calling myself doctor. I'm not a doctor, and it makes us shed a light on all the roles that we play. The roles are just roles, but what are we underneath that? I mean, what is the truth? So we can play, and I think creative writing gives us a method to play in that sandbox. Mixed metaphors. Anybody else want to speak up? We have such a good discussion when we turn off the recording. Yesterday we had a great sharing. Yeah, Shani, go ahead.
I find such refuge in your words when you wrote about prompt number 2. It says, now leap into the following prompt without concern for getting it right or impressing anyone.
Yeah.
And those words are just so important for me because the mechanism that's at work here is just wound up to get it right and to be impressive. And so it's such a wonderful exercise to watch. This is the beauty of stretching into a little bit of discomfort, to watch the things that just float up, that are now those little roomy friends. Those are those, I think, then I start to judge those. Oh, those are still here. What are those doing here? I thought I had tea with those guys, made friends with them, and they were off, but here they are. And it's very humbling. But it's such a beautiful exercise, multidimensionally. Yeah.
Sometimes I forget because when we do these, it's so smooth, and you all are so impressive to me. Not that I'm sitting down and evaluating and giving anybody grades or that sort of thing. That I sometimes forget what I do know, and that is almost all of us suffer with that self-doubt and wanting to make a good impression. And how, when it comes to creativity, that definitely comes up. Is my art worth anybody's time to look at? Or am I just being arrogant? I think I'm, so much goes through our minds. And what happens is that it impedes our ability to be of service. I think of this as service work, what we're doing here. We're serving,
Right.
well, ourselves, yeah, but we are all, right? Not to be too hallmarky there, but we're serving each other when we do this. Serve yourself in a beautiful, kind way, and you will be serving others. Yeah. So the motivation for doing it is not to build me up, I'm the good writer, I'm the best writer of the bunch, or I'm the worst writer of the bunch. Those are the same. There's both afflictions, both cause suffering. And when that can be released, we're just all creating a tapestry together. And it's all beautiful. I saw Neerja's hand go up there.
Yeah, I thought I wanted to say that I'm somebody who has never thought of myself as a writer. I've never really written other than academic papers. And I listen to what everybody reads, and it's like, oh God, I can't do that. I mean, that's the thoughts that arise. And I listen to what I've written, and I'm amazed.
Mhm.
It's like I don't know where it comes from, but
Yeah.
it comes.
It's a great mystery where it comes from. And, I've seen this happen because I've been an academic teacher for so many years. I've seen the most frightened, inhibited student suddenly just open up with some kind of brilliance that, I was being held back for centuries maybe, and then suddenly opens up in that person and they share it. That is scary business. I mean, writing, it's one thing. Just for me in my closet, I'll look at it and judge myself. But I'm going to write it and just poof, there it is, folks. Love it or leave it. There's freedom in that because, someone could be watching us right now saying, oh, I don't like them at all. They're so arrogant, those people. This could be going on, and we're willing to accept that, aren't we? Only when we're willing to accept. And I can't quote Adyashanti because I don't have it right in front of me. But to paraphrase, Adyashanti said that until you allow everyone to like you or dislike you, to think whatever they will think, you have no freedom. Freedom comes when you're willing. Everybody can dislike me. She thinks she's a teacher. She calls herself awakened. Probably they're out there saying all that. Is that okay? Because if I say, oh, I can't bear it, then I'm impeding my ability to be of service. So that goes for all of these creative endeavors that we're doing. And y'all are brave. This is an act of bravery and kindness to do this. Anybody, one last comment, anyone? Was that a half hand? Okay, so Aaron, I wasn't sure if Robin was raising the hand or went sort of like that. Okay, Aaron and Jed, I saw.
Yeah, I just noticed that within this tapestry, there's my own personal conditioning, right? And there's what almost like arrows that make it through and really hit something deep. Yeah. And it's usually just one line. And there were two lines that were spoken earlier that did it for me. And I don't know why, but it was from the two other males in the group.
Yeah.
One of them was from Wayne when you just said, I must imagine I am you.
Mm.
And I could really feel it. It's just so beautiful. And the other one was from Jed when you said, I must be here with what I have.
Mm.
So I wanted to thank you both.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the beauty of poetry or song lyrics. That one line, you do not have to be good, Mary Oliver says. You do not have to walk through the desert 100 miles on your knees repenting. Oh my gosh. Those are, just so powerful lines. And we all are poets. We all are writers. We all are singers and dancers. Even if we say, oh, I can't even carry a tune, but you can open up your voice and let it out, I was always inhibited about dancing. Oh, I can't dance. You guys go have fun. Oh, I don't want to look like a fool, And now, later in life, I can throw on the Pointer Sisters. I'm so excited and dance around the room with it, Freedom. Jed.
I was just going to mention that it's funny you mentioned Adyashanti. He was a bicycle racer, right?
Yes.
And I was going to mention, I used to race bicycles, and a lot of what we do here is a lot like going to a bike race with a team. And
is that right?
Yeah, and I had teammates who were very strong. They're excellent. They were much stronger than I was, but then when we would go to races, they would always quit or drop out or have a problem, and they would always underperform in a race.
Mm-hmm.
And so we figured out a way of saying, okay, well, all this anxiety about doing well is what is preventing you from doing well. And so we said, okay, well, this next race, I want you to come in last. I don't want you to finish in front of anyone. You have to come in,
Yes.
you have to finish, but you have to finish dead last. And so it's okay to let yourself try as hard as you want. You don't have to save anything for later. You don't have to worry about doing well, so you can do what you want.
Mhm.
And to me, I feel like what we're doing writing is very much the same.
Mhm.
By allowing yourself to do what you want, without worrying about winning or doing well, that's where the freedom is.
Yeah.
And not worrying about how it works out.
Oh,
And then guess what happens next? Then the anxiety about performing goes away. And then you're just being yourself or
yes.
whatever. Anyway, I was thinking that I wanted to share that, and then you
That's
mentioned
amazing.
Adyashanti, so I thought, well, I better now because
Yeah. That's amazing. And I should mention Adyashanti is a modern mystic living in California. And his work is easily available if you look up Adyashanti. I wish I had that quote handy. Maybe I'll bring it along next time. Thank you for that, Jed, and for everybody. What a wonderful session. I think we've come to the close now. And I want to remind you all, everybody listening and everyone here, that next time is our last episode. Oh, darn. The audience may not realize we're doing this 4 days in a row. We're meeting, so it's a bit of a pressure cooker, what we're creating here. For production purposes, we are doing it rapid fire, whereas normally I would give an entire week between sessions for the writers. In the fourth session, I want to really explore what go as nothing means. I mean, it's not as though I can really transmit that, but I'll explain why I've named this Go as Nothing, where it comes from for me, thanks to Joel Morwood of the Center for Sacred Sciences. So with that, I'd like to do a bow. Everyone will do a bow together, a nice slow bow, and then I will ring the bell, which I have over here, and then we will see you all next time. Okay? So let's just bring one hand up, just kind of above, actually it's out of my frame. And then the other one up there, unless you have a shoulder problem that don't cause any pain. And then if we're on gallery view, we'll bring this down so that have your hands out and yeah, there we go. So my hand's touching Heartsong's hand and my hand is touching, yeah, Aaron's hand. Yeah. And everybody's, yeah, good. Somehow in our little boxes we connect. Isn't that amazing? And then we'll turn our palms facing each other. Oh, these hands do so much work for us. Exquisite, aren't they? And we're beginning to let them come close together. They'll do it on their own. Let's bring it down to the throat chakra. Yeah. Our beautiful faces are looking out over the top. And my pinkies are touching, ring finger, middle finger, pointer finger, thumbs, palms coming together. And bowing in gratitude for each other, for ourselves, for our teachers, and for our teachings. Thank you, everyone. I'll ring the bell twice. Take a moment.